Mr. Sikakani.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the indulgence. We may proceed. We've identified issues. The witness will proceed with the testimony.
Honorable panel members, paragraph, or let me say page 19 of the complaint. Page 19 of the complaint. At the top of page 19 of the complaint, that is the consolidated bundle, what if we melt? I replied, you will hold yourself. Then he asked, what about you? All the time he says something, he wanted me to reciprocate, which I found as being clingy and turn off for me. That is what she says. Then she refers to annexures K6, K7, and K10, which I found as being clingy and a turn off for me. But let me proceed. He said, let me oblige, and he could see I was not playing along. Then, 20 June 2021, that is still 20 June 2021, JP sent me an image of private parts and asked me, yours please, and I replied with gesso. He said, why? Does it look delicious? I did not respond. See annexure K8. Now K8 is here once again rearing its head. So we now know that it was during the night, and if we go to 1220, we see that the conversation is at 22:58, deletion times 2 at 22:59 and gesso, and then immediately thereafter 23, one and the same thing, and then 23:02, yours please. That's where we are now. So I am saying I am said to have sent K8. K8 is that annexure I've already pointed out. It's got 0902. It doesn't have anything like its origin, against the background, as I mentioned earlier on, that at the outset, the complainant in her affidavit had said, on the WhatsApp screenshots, you will see the profile picture of the JP that he had then. When a text has blue ticks, it means that it is from me. So if we go to K8, and I think it would be to unnecessarily hamstring these proceedings. If I were to say, let's go to K8, we know there's that picture which is K8. We know that it doesn't show where the origin is. It doesn't show any profile picture of anyone. It's got 0905 at the bottom, which is a far cry from 22:58, the time that is appearing ostensibly or evidently at page 1220. So it can't be true that I sent at 22:58 K8. I did not send K8. That has been my stance. It still is. It will forever be. I never sent K8. So I'm simply saying, as had happened previously, it could have been a picture of a couple cuddling, as I had previously sent. When I say it could, it's because of the passage of time, to which she said gesso. When I say yours, please do reciprocate by sending me a picture from her side. Then what is at 1221 does not seem to be of relevance, because some of those things are repetitions. Why put it this way? It looks delicious. Okay, ke uzawuzibamba sawuncokola ofisini. If it must just be a friendly chat, I'll oblige. 2305, ironing, we've seen those before. You said, let me see, please. Gesso, I'll wait. Please reciprocate. Those things are a repetition. They're even repeated at 1222. At 2315, she says, ndilibele ukuphuma ku WhatsApp, which means, as we were conversing, she forgot to exit. She says that at 2315. Then my question is, meaning what? Andiva. All she said at
Interpreter,
23.
so could you slow down, JP? Interpreter, yes.
Ndilibele ukuphuma kuWhatsApp. I forgot to log off the WhatsApp. That's the direct translation.
And the second one, Andiva, and the other one, yeah.
Meaning,
If the JP can just repeat for me
meaning
that postal
Andiva,
line.
I don't understand. I don't understand when you say ulibele ukupuma ku WhatsApp.
Okay, after saying I forgot to log off, then the follow-up statement was Andiva, which is I don't understand.
Then the answer is ulale kamnandi uphuphe from the complainant at 23:15.
Then the response is sleep well and dream.
That was her last message on that night. Followed by please reciprocate and don't be tricky. That was 23:17. So we are now on 21 June. 21 June starts at 12:23. Page 1223. Let me prefix what I'm going to say by referring to what the understanding was about the meeting in East London. Let me oblige, let's meet and just talk. So, 21 June 2021.
Before you go there, on page, this message is on page, this message is on page 1222.
Yes.
You referred to them, sleep well and have a dream, and so forth and so on. She was asked, how did these messages make you feel? And she said, they were annoying. They made me feel, they made me see myself as a dirty person.
Yes, I do have recollection of that.
Yeah.
It is within the context that I sent K8, which I did not.
All right.
It is within that context.
Yeah.
Yes, I did not send K8. And what is interesting about K8, it keeps rearing its head from time to time. There is an endeavor to slot it somewhere. But thus far, that endeavor, in my view, has not been successful. I would understand, Chairperson, if I had sent K8 for her to address herself the way she did, which you recorded. So we are now on 21 June. We had parted about this meeting that, well, we will meet and converse. At 17:52, I say, where are you? In other words, when I say location, 17:52, she says, Bishop. Oh, you are not in East London. I'll drive up now. What about the meeting, 1802? Court, 1802. Ngomso or tonight? We are talking about a meeting with you, meeting with you, 1802. I'll be in touch once I get there. Lol, if convenient. In other words, when you get here, we may meet if it is convenient. And then, page 1224, you were much younger. Haibo ngoku ndimdala. This is my comment to her status picture. Haibo ngoku ndimdala. Come on, are you now saying I'm old with those emojis?
Ngomso.
Ngoku ndimdala.
The sorry, the haibo once more is an exclamation after receiving a particular statement. Ngoku ndimdala. I am now older. That's the direct translation.
And then I see, okay, I'll be in touch once I get there. Then I say, okay. And then commenting to I'll be in touch once I get there at 21:04. It's an emoji of a person who is thoughtful or thinking. And then there's a picture there's a video that I sent. There's nothing controversial about it because nothing was said about it necessarily. I also don't remember what it was about. Now, I am saying this is how the East London invite aborted. That is how it simply disappeared. So the understanding was we could meet and not be intimate. I'm a man of action. I'm a person of action. We will restrain ourselves. Fine, I will oblige. Let's do meet. So that's a follow-up. And then I'll be in touch once I get there, 21:04. Nothing eventuates. 21:38 is the last point in time. That is how the East London story ends.
JP, we know that at this point the evidence was that she had amassed the strength to tell you to stop. Did she?
She did not.
All right, you may proceed.
And from the context and everything we have read here, once again, there is no high, pertinent high in this instance. I'm sick and tired of this interaction between the two of us. You are flirtatious, I'm not flirtatious, and I want to tell you, ndifuna ukuxelela iindaba zakho, which means
Ndifuna ukukuxelela indaba zakho. The direct translation is, I want to tell you your news. The interpretation of that is more in the line of, I want to tell you where to get off.
And my question is, were you told to get off anywhere after this point?
not at all.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Not at this point, not even before this point. Thank you, Council. Then we've got 22 June. There's nothing of significance. 22 June is at 1226, Chairperson. I was saying, you've become quiet at 1757. She responds at 2035, 1226. I'm working on an assignment which I'm submitting tomorrow. I'm sorry. Then I ask, are you studying law? The answer is yes. And then I said, hey, that's good, by showing those emojis at 2037. Then at on 23 June, I'm still chairperson at 1226, which goes over to 1227. I ask, kuyafundeka? Are you managing? Kuyafundeka?
Kuyafundeka. Are you managing? Are you coping?
And the answer is at 1917, zama zama noko ndidiniwe kelondo today. I am trying my best, but I'm tired today.
I am trying my best. However, I'm tired today.
So I send a picture of somebody being injected. This was during COVID time. There were those people who did not want the injection and so on, or the vaccination rather. Then she responds, Kanti unjani, how are you? And then I say, no, vaccine, I'm retaliating. Then she says, Ju uyakwazi. Yes, you have effectively retaliated. In other words, that's what she says.
Kanti unjani? Actually, how are you?
And JP, what did you want to convey with that picture?
This picture about somebody being vaccinated, it was more, when she says, ndidiniwe kelondo today, I was just throwing something. There's nothing of significance about it. I was just throwing a picture about people, and there were a lot of those pictures and videos during the relevant time when people did not want to be vaccinated. So it was more in jest. There's nothing of significance about it.
Thank you.
But then she says, yo uyakwazi, Ju uyakwazi ukuretaliate.
Is it yo?
Ju, T-J-U-U-U.
Okay. Chu in this instance, Chair, does not necessarily have a meaning because there's no particular language that would use that in our African languages. Then the following word is uyakwazi, meaning you can. Uyakwazi, U-Y-A-K-W-A-Z-I, spelling.
Thank you.
Then I say if you want to overtake,
Chair, just hold on, JP. I think Judge Peteras wanted to
sorry.
confirm something.
But isn't there another word before uyakwazi that it says hi? H-A-Y.
Unfortunately, Judge, I don't have the file in front of me, so. Okay, so there's a hi. Is it H-A-Y?
Yes.
Once again, it seems like an abbreviation. It's not a full one. So I would also categorize it under an exclamation, hi.
Thank you.
It's an exclamation.
So, what the honorable member has done is to refer the interpreter to what appears at 1228. Chu, uyakwazi. I'm saying I'm retaliating. In other words, I had sent this picture of people who did not want to be vaccinated. And then she says, Chu, uyakwazi. In other words, Chu, hi, uyakwazi. An exclamation, hi, uyakwazi. Yes, I grant you, you have actually retaliated.
Chair, but the previous translation that I wrote down was no, you can. That was the previous translation that we had.
Exactly where are we?
At 1227, at 1935, it's almost at the bottom of the page.
Oh, I see. Well, the note I had was no, you can.
You can, yes.
Chairperson, so we are at 1228. At the top, I am saying there, after sending that picture, Kandi Unjani, no, I'm sending you a picture depicting somebody who is being vaccinated. I'm just retaliating. Then she says at 1228, Chu, hi, uyakwazi. Responding to I am retaliating. This hi is of no moment. It's insignificant. You see,
Sorry, Chair. And then we'll come to you.
Can I please come in, Councillor?
Yes.
I was very specific when I asked my lady as to is then the word spelt in full or it's H-A-Y without the I. So my response in translating or interpreting that was based on that. So when I was told that there's no I after the Y, then it can't be no because it's not complete. It looks like an abbreviation. Unless initially when I interpreted it, taking it from the translated version, which I did not do the translations initially before the start of this matter, I could have went with that, or at that particular moment in that day, I decided to go with the no that is in the translated version. But at this point, because I'm given H-A-Y, it's not complete to qualify for a full no.
Could I pass on the relevant page to the interpreter because she doesn't have the relevant page?
Advocate Skill. Oh.
Thank you. Chair, can I just clarify, because I think it's important that we get the translations correct. So we haven't, for example, we've now heard that the translation of H-A-Y is not necessarily no, but on page 1228, the translation for H-A-Y was given to us previously as no. So I just want to make sure that, I think the translator is in a difficult position because she doesn't have the WhatsApps in front of her. Perhaps we could give her a file that might help. But we just need some consistency. So we've previously had on page 1228 H-A-Y being translated as no, but we've just heard that H-A-Y doesn't mean no. Can we have some clarity on that, please?
Chair, Mr. Madonsela is feeling generous and wanted to see if he can give the interpreter his copy, if it's appropriate. Thank you.
I'll ask the interpreter to ignore some of my comments in some of the notes.
Yeah.
Well, the Secretariat might have a copy that doesn't mean Mr. Madonsela would have to give up his. Okay. I'm told that they're looking for one and they'll provide it as soon as they have it. But my question remains, how are we to record this? We've previously got an interpretation on page 1228 that HAY means no, but we've just heard that it doesn't mean no.
Let her look at the context. Where is the paper to give her? Is there anything? Oh.
I think, Chairperson, it would be better to give her the full context and therefore a document, because this thing about hayi uyakwazi, as I said, is of no moment. It's not about a rebuff. It's about an exchange of messages.
Yeah, you can hold it on. It's almost 1 o'clock, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Chair. I think while days.
Yeah, let's come back at 1:45.
Yes.
And then attend to that if you can.
So something was passed on to the. Oh, okay. So, thank you, Chair. I think we'll come back to it.
Maybe the Secretariat may help as well. I don't know. I think we should just stop. We adjourn here. We'll come back at 1:45. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
There was still something to be unpacked that involves the interpreter. Maybe she's better placed now.
Thank you, Chair. In the bundle that I have, Volume 3, page 1311, I'm looking at the translated version of Chu. Hayi uyakwazi. The translation there says, wow, you can retaliate indeed.
Shall I proceed then to page 1228, bearing in mind that at the bottom, at 1946, the complainant then says, uyandiphazamisa and igazi lam liyatshisa ngoku mandiqale ndigqibe le ndiyenzayo into, I suppose. I would rather have the interpreter state it.
The direct translation of that, Chair, at 1946, says, you are disturbing me, and now I am getting heated up, or rather say, because they left the word igazi, you are disturbing me, and now my blood is getting heated up. Let me finish this first.
Yes. And then at page 1229, before you focus on your studies, iti then the response is that hlala ubawa, I like it that way, kwenzela ufike unomdla.
Shall we get translation, and then I'll ask you.
All right, the translation for hlala ubawa here on page 1312, Chair, of the translated version. Unfortunately, I'm not in agreement with you. Always want to be intimate because it's not stated in the yesixhenxe language. Hlala ubawa, it's more on keep on drooling. I like that, so that when you arrive, you will be interested, or you will still be interested.
Now, JP, let me ask you this question so that we finalize this bit. How do you compare that with the testimony that just before that, when we're dealing with the conversations before that, the testimony was that she she was upset with that conversation.
My testimony is that it is not compatible. In other words, not being happy with the conversation is not compatible with what is said here.
And what was,
is,
yeah.
What is said here, in fact, is a positive statement emanating from the complainant, which is highly flirtatious, which simply says, remain drooling, this is how I like it, so that when you get here, you are very interested in me.
Thank you, JP. You may proceed.
Then that is 24 June, 1230. There's nothing of significance in my view. And then on 26 June, 2021.
You are at page 1231.
Yes, 1231. She must have sent something at 1924. I can't remember what it was. At 1924, she sent something, and I can't remember what it was. And then my response was, akuxelwa le noko. Interpreter?
The direct translation of akuxelwa le noko. I am not referring to this, though.
Thank you.
And then at 1925, after that meme, she says, ndifuna yona. That is exactly what I want. I can't remember what it was, but all I can say is there's something that she had shared, and she says, that is exactly what I want.
Confirm.
Ndifuna yona interpretation, which is in line with what JP said, but rather we'll put it this way. It is that which I want.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then I asked why, then she says just for control. To control what? She says umoya. Moya meaning?
Umoya in this instance will be the air or wind
Or spirit.
or spirit, yes.
Then I say yongaze ngahleka. But most importantly, at 1928, for the third time now, I am told, umhle yazba, you are handsome. You know that?
I think that's...
Umhle yazba, which is also another abbreviation. You are handsome, is because we can't say a man is beautiful. You know.
Then there's something that's deleted at 1928, 1929, 1931, I can't remember, but I simply say thanks to that.
Isn't it her that says thanks because it's on the right-hand side?
Honorable Member, I've not picked up the question. What is the question?
No, the question is not, I'm just saying, isn't it her that says thanks at 1931?
Oh, sorry, yes. Thank you very much. Umhle yazba, you are handsome, you know that. And then I sent something 1928, 1929, 1931, but the response is thanks from her side. Thank you, Honorable Member. Then when I say enye at 1932, it implies that something had been sent to me, and I was simply saying, please send something more. But I can't remember what it was. Then she says, unjalo ke.
In this instance, JP, enye means another one. Oh, unjalo ke, meaning you are like that.
Thank you.
And then the question at 1949, which is the last chart on that day, is no more. It's a question. So as I say, I believe I had been sent something. I was expressing gratitude for what had been sent. And then I said something more. And then my question is, oh, you've got no more, nothing more to send. That is how I look at it as I'm seated here now. Then 29 June, This is where I say your mood was so pensive.
And what is, sorry, JP, what is at 9:30, 19:30, could those be salacious chat or pictures? Do you know?
I don't want to lie. All I can say is, it seems to me that she had shared some pictures.
Okay.
I don't want to pitch it higher than that. They were flirtatious in the context of what we were talking about.
Thank you, JP.
I don't want to pitch it higher than that.
It's fine. Thank you, JP.
Then 29 June 2021, I then say your mood was so pensive. Ndakoyika, please keep a song in your heart that you always bear. All this ends with her at 1642 at page 1234 saying, when I asked, I asked at 1638 at 1234, and you disappeared in the thickness of East London. Then the question is, are you still on about that? I say, the meeting, I'd have loved the meeting. Then she says, I was busy. Then she says, ndakoyika ngalamini. Now,
Ndakoyika ngalamini, in the direct translation into English, I was scared of you that day.
yes. Now, there's an emoji there, which I've always maintained. It portrays an element of shyness. Be that as it may, the East London issue, I believe I have testified in relation there to council and how it was rounded off. I was just saying, hey, you disappeared in the thickness of things. This is somebody on her version who wanted to confront me, and this is how then the whole thing eventuates. So I asked Wandoyika for the why, which is slang of some kind. Then she says, I won't say anything. Then I asked, Ndioyikeka, am I fearful? And then she says, yay, ewe. And then she laughs. And then that eventually eventuates at 1236 with me saying, I don't believe. And I'm sweet and human at a social level, but very serious about work. This is what I say at 1644 at page 1236. She then elects to remain silent. Then I ask, is it because you disbelieve? Then she shows that emoji. Then lukewarm. This is her answer. You are a lukewarm person. And then I say, not at all. When I say 2 at 1645, then she says, you know that. And then she says, I believe you. Then I say, I reach out. And then she ends up by saying, we'll notice from now on.
You are now on page 1237.
I'm now at page 1237. There's nothing of significance that I would like to highlight, Council, unless you want me to there's a specific topic that you want me to address.
No, not on this.
The only one that I seek to address is at page 1239. After I had sent a picture of a lady holding a hoe, she then says to me, Inoba, your imagination takes you to the pitch of Mount Everest. Your imagination takes you to the pitch of Mount Everest. And then I laugh at that. And then I say, Yiti sibone. In other words, I say to her, demonstrate that pitch of Mount Everest. That is, then she says, high. That high is a no, but there's no rebuff about it. I submit, or this is my view, because I was saying, Yiti sibone, I am saying, you must demonstrate that you are pitch of Mount Everest. Show me that you are pitch of Mount Everest. Then she says, aye. Then I say, you have what it takes. And then there is something that I shared with her at 10:04. This appears at 1241. And then there's a laughing emoji from her, and nothing is of significance. Then I say to her on 7 July, please share helicopter something. Then she shares a video which is 0.29 seconds long at 1846. And then she greets me evening, and then I say hello. And then she says, pleasure, Daddy, at 1851. And then it's me, then at 1851 at page 1.
Had she called you Daddy before?
This is the first time.
Okay.
Yes. Then I say undibiza kamnandi at 1851. Biza kamnandi.
Undibiza kamnandi or biza kamnandi, it's more one saying you pronounce me nicely
You address me
or
nicely.
you address me nicely.
And then she reciprocates by an emoji of a hug and somebody says, laughing. And then I send a heart, and then I say reciprocate, and then she says, you see, unjalo ke singavani nje yilento. This is what I don't like about you, because I'm saying please reciprocate. Then at page 1244 at 1902, she says ucimelani ndingekafundi. So it means it must have been a text that I had shared, which was deleted. But she says, why do you delete before I read? Sorry, before I read, ndingekafundi. I hope I'm correct.
Why are you deleting text before I read them?
Thank you.
Can you just pause for a while? Thank you.
Shall I proceed there?
Yes.
Thank you. Cimelani ndingekafundi, why do you delete before I read? And then the things that are deleted, she says at 1904, I know that kills. I can't remember what she was talking about. Then I ask, what? Because even then I may not have understood. Then there is this particular video from me, from a distance and looking at it. It's got two people standing side by side, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. But it attracts a comment from her which says, "Ndinosizi lwakho," laughingly and with a flirtatious emoji, in my view. "Ndinosizi lwakho, I have pity for you."
I have pity for you. I feel sorry for you.
Then, immediately thereafter at 1245, she says, "Ungandibuzi. Don't ask me why I say I have pity for you." Then I ask, "Are you a python?"
Well, let's pause there. Let's pause there because so many interpretations of that can be tossed around. What did you mean?
What did I mean by saying, "Are you a python?"
Yes.
I understood her to be actually pitying me because she knew herself to have more vitality. She knew herself to have more vitality. In other words, if I may put it in Xhosa, python yintlwathi, am I correct, ma'am? It's the type of snake that the python is the type of snake that
Let's just wait. The interpreters
squeeze,
will absorb
that
with
tends
them.
to squeeze you,
Okay.
crush your bones, and then it swallows you. Python.
JP, it's
Even
right.
though, Chair, I've never done an extensive studies on snake. However, the understanding general is that a python is a very powerful snake that can squeeze you to death. That's how much strength it has. So it can do anything to its prey at any given moment when it's given an opportunity. That's my little understanding of the actual snake called python.
It kills by conscription.
who is suffering. So that picture was just meant for that, nothing more, nothing less.
Thank you, JP.
And then my contribution on 8 July 2021, because I understood her to be serious that she wanted my assistance.
We are now at 1250.
1250 at 9:19. That was my contribution to the assignment. I Googled something and found something that dealt with GBV. I sent that at 09:19, and within no time, at 09:24, 9:24, morning, this should suffice, much obliged. She is thanking me. So I believed she was genuine. I did not know that she was pretending. In any event, I was not given to understand that she was pretending. I was serious about it, and indeed, I made a contribution.
Thank you.
I was at no stage under the view that I was meting out any form of GBV to the complainant. Even when I was asking, are you a Python? I've explained the context.
Thank you, JP.
Then on 9 July, I'm still going back to Ndinosizi lwakho. I have pity for you at 0656. I ask, why do you pity me? Nothing eventuates from that. Then on 12 July, I wake up to there was a status picture of hers, where she says, we met her kwezinye izindlu. Then I was laughing at that comment. We met her kwezinye izindlu.
We met her kwezinye izindlu, the direct translation. We met her in other households.
And what was your understanding?
My understanding was that she was saying, elsewhere, as a person, as a female, there are people to whom we met her. Basically, we met her with other persons. But it's going to become clearer when the conversation unfolds. So at 20:01, she sends me something. It looks like a meme. I can't remember what it was. But then at 20:01, I also sent that picture of a troubled face, somebody who seems to have been thought-provoking. I mean, something was responding to something that is thought-provoking. Then she says, Ayin, support structure yamle, ayondoda, so chill. In other words, the concern that I have this lady who met us in other homesteads, it makes me express concern the way I did. Then she says,
Do you remember what concerned you, that picture of a man? What were you communicating?
Where?
The man who's troubled.
No, this man
Your
is troubled
interpretation.
because this person that she's flirting with seems to be saying, we met her elsewhere. And then I express concern. It's a troubled face, basically.
Thank you.
So she says, Ayin, support structure yamle, ayondoda, so chill.
Can you get an interpretation?
Once again, Chair, we come across the Hain, which does not have a direct translation, if I may say, meaning as well. It still remains an exclamation, followed by, this is my support structure, not a man, so chill.
Thank you. Then at 1252, page 1252, 2003, I then say, well, I'm not complaining. Then she seeks to engage me a bit on that by saying, squele, which I understood her to be saying, une squele, you are jealous, within a flirtatious context.
The direct translation of the word squele means jealousy or jealous.
And then I respond by saying, tu kanti, no, not at all. I'm not jealous, just relax. Then I ask, uwedwa? Then the answer is no, I'm not all by myself. Then I say, okay.
Tu kanti, not at all. Then the next word on 2004, uwedwa. Are you alone?
Thank you.
I pause here to say moment was made of this question wedwa, and it caused a bit of emotion on the part of the complainant. I'm still at a loss because all I was asking, as we interact the way we are doing, are you all by yourself where you are? She seemed to be suggesting that I was saying she is a loner or something like that. I don't want to waste time by going into that because I would have to go through this and that other document. I would like to be of assistance to the tribunal by moving as fast as possible.
Just tell us what you meant. I think that will
When
suffice.
I was asking at 2004, we were conversing. She was saying, chill, don't worry, I don't have another man. That's my understanding. Chill, don't worry. Then she says, uNesikwele. Then I say, no, not at all. Then flowing from that, because we were conversing, I established from her whether she's all by herself. She says, no, I'm not all by myself. And then I say, that's okay.
Thank you.
Then on 15 July 2021, there's a video of me that I shared with her. She then laughs and says, drooling. I do seem
What
to...
did you understand that to mean?
Well, drooling means it looks appetizing.
Okay, thank you.
I must say that when I look at that picture, even in hindsight, it's me, it's a video of me, but it was at a time when it was COVID. It was time for, it was lockdown time when people were expected to put on masks and so on. So faintly though I can see it's a video about that, then drooling. Then I siyazama wethu khona izinto ezisibhidayo. We are trying our best, but there are things that are beyond our control.
The direct translation of that, Chair, will be, we are trying, but there are things that confuses us.
Thank you. And then at 1343, remember I had shared a video of me. She says, beauty of the nature ayinyamezeleki. It is hard to resist beauty of nature.
Or we can make use of the word unbearable. Beauty of the nature is unbearable.
Thank you. Counsel, I understood that to be referring to me in relation to the video that I was sharing. It may sound as if I am bigger than my head, but I can't help but mention that. Beauty of nature is hard to resist, or the way the interpreter has put it. Then there's laughing, then there's deletion, then I then call upon her to share something. She does share it at page 1254, quite a number of pictures, and then I thanked her for that. Those may have been pictures about social things, nothing of significance. And then on 18 July 2021, the reason why I'm approaching things in this fashion is because it's not because there's something that I'm avoiding, but I'm going for those things that I believe I should testify in relation to. I have no problem in dealing with this on a line-by-line basis.
No, it's
but
fine.
I'm trying to be of assistance to the tribunal.
You're doing fine, JP.
Thank
We'll
you.
tell you if
Then
you
her status has got that exclamation MKQ, and then I say, yay, I can't remember what it was about. Then there's 18 July 2021, there's a status, whatever that means from her, and then I say, Mwim. Then there's
Meaning,
laughing.
let's just interrogate that a bit before it's misunderstood.
That which the JP exclaimed.
Yeah.
Chair, there's no word in particular except an expression of, not sure how to interpret that part.
Last time you interpret like a click.
It's a
and
click.
Exclamation.
Yes, yes, Chair.
And then this message was deleted. Okay, she laughs at that at 1924, and then something is deleted. And then I also don't understand why she said ukolo, laughingly, I can't remember. Then there's a message that's deleted from my side, but clearly I may have sent her something, and then I said, ubuke wedwa. Her response was, "Aysemnandi," whatever I had shared with her.
And when you were saying ubuke wedwa,
Ubuke wedwa, it's watch it alone.
thank you.
Then semandi, it's nice, so it's pleasurable.
And then there's a question mark where I say, "Deep nto, would you love it or you'd love it?" Then her response is, "Uyicime ndingekayigqibi, uyacaca uphela esithubeni."
The translation of deep ndo, that's where we start. Something deep, it's a question. Then uyicime ndingekagqibi. You deleted it before I could finish watching it. Uyacaca uphela esithubeni. It is clear, or it goes off to show that you go halfway.
And what is this discussion? How would you describe it?
It's a flirtatious talk, and I can expatiate with the benefit of hindsight and looking at what is before us here. But the starting point is, if one goes to paragraph 18 of the complaint at page 10 of the consolidated document, she says, "I sent her different sizes of male private parts on this occasion." And then in her testimony, page 38 on day 5, she says, "I sent her a collage of different sex positions." This is what she says in the complaint. And then during testimony, something different. And let's go back to the conversation. This would, when I say buke wedwa, semnandi, deep nto, you'd love it, it related to a deep sexual, shall I say, sensual relationship between the two persons whose picture I had sent. So when I say deep, you'd loved it, with hindsight, I believe those were two people kissing one another in a deep way.
Thank you, JP. You may move.
Then she says, "Uyacaca uphela esithubeni." I understood that to be saying, it looks like you are superficial in doing things. Then I asked, "You'd loved it?" Then she says, "Mandiqale ndiyigqibe ndiza kuphendula." Then
Translation of that, let me finish first, then I will answer, or I will give you an answer.
Then, haha, you mandicime. Then in response, she's mandicime, let me delete. She then say, "Oh, umoya oyingcwele mawungenelele," meaning the Holy Spirit should intervene. I understood her to be saying, "Oh, please don't delete, because I'm still looking at it. May the Spirit intervene on my behalf."
Translation starting from you, mandicime. You being an exclamation, mandicime, let me delete. And then oh, ewe, with the exclamation of cause of oh, yes, let the Holy Spirit intervene.
And then I don't know what I had sent, but she says, "Ngako konke," maybe I was trying to check what she meant by saying, "Usencokweni andinakubhala rhabaxa." Hayi ke andithi usencokweni andinawubhala rhabaxa.
The translation of aike anditi usencokweni andinakubhala rhabaxa. Well, isn't it that you are in conversation? I should therefore not be texting roughly or rudely. And then the next response, ngako konke, with all there is.
Thank you. And then I then say ingathi ufuna kubethwe phezulu wena, and then there's half in session, followed by foreplay kindles. So
Okay, let's just hear that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ingati ufuna kubethwe phezulu wena. It seems as if you want this to be done on the surface. Then the following one was half in session, which is in English.
Yes. And then there, I believe it related to the very picture that I had sent, or a video of persons who were kissing one another deeply. So she then says at 1932, foreplay kindles.
Is it your understanding at this point, JP, that she is playing along, there is no tension between the two of you?
Exactly, that is my understanding.
Okay.
Then I say, I mean eventually. Then she responds by saying, before ihlathi liche kuqala kancinci.
The direct translation, Chair, of that, before the bush burns, it starts small.
I say, I understand. Then slowly, in other words, this is
Did
done.
you understand what she meant and what?
I understood what she meant as being, you start small and things develop. In other words, it takes a spark, just a small thing, to burn the whole forest. So within the flirtatious context, I understood her to be saying, well, even if things are done superficially, eventually it's all going to be something that is very hot to destroy the whole forest in this context.
And if it was said she was rebuffing you, what would you say?
Not at all. On the contrary.
Okay.
This
Sorry, I
is
didn't- I
a
didn't hear
clear
your question.
flirtatious.
Just a minute, I didn't hear your question.
If it was said that this was a rebuff, was rebuffing you, what would you say?
I would say, on the contrary, it's not a rebuff. She's not only playing along, she is flirtatious in an outright fashion. And that's how I understood it, within what we were discussing.
Thank you.
It preceded by foreplay kindles. She then says, before ihlathi liche kuqala kancinci. So when we engage one another, we start small and build up. I understand slowly. She then says, please. And then there is a long term is okay for you. That was flirtatious and sensual. She says, of course, which is a response. It's yes, in other words.
JP, could you tell us where you are again? Just
I'm
the
at page 1258.
Yes. Just wait a bit so that the panel is there.
1258.
Yes, you may proceed. Thank you.
So the answer at 1933 is, of course. Then in response, I show those emojis that are salivating in light of what we were discussing. Then she changes topic.
Can you tell us about, because it's been something spoken about or mentioned, a long term? What did you mean?
Long term is a male private part.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
And then she says, khange ndikuxelele, I am currently off sick, kwathi kanti ndine stress ndawa. I did not tell you that I'm currently off sick. It turned out that I was suffering from stress and at some point I fell, 1934.
Let's confirm with our expert.
The JP indeed translated it exactly how I would have put it. I did not tell you that I am currently off sick, and it turned out that I have stress and I fell.
Thank
Then
you.
I exclaimed at 1934 and asked kwenzakala ntoni, in other words, what is happening or what has happened? Is it because of studies? Then her response is, which is very significant, your CM's insult found a home. In other words, your court manager, her insults found a home. So in other words, it seems she's saying I'm depressed or I'm under stress because of the treatment meted out by the court manager. But she then says, your court manager. There's nothing of significance, I'm just mentioning it. Then I say, you must laugh some of the troubles away and emulate me. And then she winks at that at 1937 at page 1259. I must say, there's nothing of significance here. Speaking for myself, I will jump.
Yes, thank you, JP.
I will jump. But before I jump, let me go to 1940. I must come and give you a boost. Then there's an injection emoji. Give you a boost.
What did that refer to?
It is about health. it is in the context of somebody to heal because they say they are operating under stress. Then she says to that, when strong to stand on my feet, it's fine. Is it that bad? This is me asking. Then she says the coming week will be the second week. It was really bad. I'm getting there slowly. And then I asked, Kanene, you are tender. Kanene?
By the way,
Then she says, very. And then I say, oh man. Then it seems I deleted something that read, Uza kuyithini i-rough ride? That was a sensual talk. She responds, ndizayipasa once I am myself. I will...
What is that conversation? Does that what you say and what she says?
Ndizayipasa once I am myself, interpreter?
ndizayipasa, I will pass it once I'm myself, in a sense of pasa, to succeed in something once I'm myself.
I will make it.
Make it, it's another synonym for the same word.
This was a sensual talk.
Okay.
In very clear terms, deep sensual talk. Then...
Can I just take you back
Thank you,
on
Chairperson.
something which looks like an injection?
Yes. 1259 at
Yeah.
1940.
Correct. Somebody said, with reference to that injection,
Yes.
says it's referring to the penis and not medical something.
A number of people could read it in many ways. In the context of what we were discussing, I simply said, I will come and give you a boost. I will do any and everything that's going to uplift your spirits. So, and let me perhaps say something. To the extent that it could be referred to as something that is sensual, as perceived by others. The truth is that in no time thereafter, I talk about a rough ride. So the talks are sensual in and by themselves. But as I say, sincerely, Chairperson, when I was saying I must come and give you a boost, she then says, when strong to stand on my feet.
Could it be far, is it far off the mark if someone interprets that, I'm not saying you, as meaning exactly what the chairperson is saying, is that it could mean a...
It could mean that.
Sex. Okay.
It's not far off the mark, especially that in no time thereafter, I am more explicit about something that is sensual, Chairperson, which is at page 1260.
Could that be the purpose for which you put it?
Possibly. Possibly. But what I don't associate myself
JP.
with...
Sorry, JP, you should know. You should know.
That?
Possibly is not good enough an answer. I'm sorry.
Yes. What I'm trying to explain...
Council is asking you,
Yes.
with this symbol of an injection,
Yes.
could it be that you meant penis?
That's exactly
Did you
what
mean that?
Yes. I could mean that. I could mean that. That's my answer. I could mean that. The reason why I'm addressing myself in this fashion is that I don't associate an injection with a penis. But then, at the same time, insofar as in no time thereafter at 1948, sorry, not 1948, at 1943 at page 1260, I then say, uzayithini i-rough ride. So, yes, let me concede and say within this flirtatious talk, within this sensual, deep sensual talk, it could have meant that. In other words, I don't want to dissociate myself with whosoever puts it within the realm of a sexual talk.
But GP, we were here to hear your views,
Yes,
your personal view about it.
yes, I agree.
Yeah, but then what was your personal perception about it? Did you convey a penis or did you not?
I conveyed not necessarily a penis, but I can't dispute that it could mean that. Let me explain myself. It is something that is going to uplift her spirits as a person who is depressed. I'm dealing with it in that fashion. But Speaking for myself, seated here as I do, and on reflection, I don't quarrel with somebody who then says, well, it was a penis. But then I am saying, I am more explicit in relation to that much later when I talk about a rough ride. Rough ride at 1943 at 1260. So, Chairperson, let me concede and say this was a sexual talk, this was a sensual talk. Even if one could say it refers to a penis, I can't deny that, if they see it that way.
Mr. Sikakani,
I'm gonna go back to it,
I
just
think
so that we get out.
we were otherwise on page, was it?
Page 12,
59?
12.
60.
1260.
Yeah, you may proceed. You may proceed, JP.
Her response is in the Zaipasa once I am myself. I am going to make it. I am going
What
to
time are you now?
1943 at 1260. I will make it for a rough ride. That's a sexual talk, Chairperson. I don't deny that. Umane ucimelani na ingathi ungumntu lo owakhe wangena engxakini. Why do you keep on deleting? It looks like you are somebody who once encountered a problem.
Let's see if the interpreter agrees with you.
Why do you keep on deleting as if you are someone who was once in trouble?
Then I say they are peeping toms, and then she laughs at that. Then I say caution is not a bad idea. And then I address myself to somebody who can pick up the phone and become privy to these sensual, embarrassing chats that relate to sexual positions and all the like. Then she laughs at that at 1948. And then there's good night. I will stop there because I don't believe there's anything of significance, save to say it is followed in the morning on 28 July 2021.
Yes.
It's all about this issue about reconciliation and forgiveness. There's no comment until we get to 30 July 2021, and then in the morning, on the following day, on 12 August, enkosi best wishes. Thank you for the best wishes. Maybe I sent her something. And then she says, I say thank you for the best wishes. She must have sent something to me. I can't remember what it was. And then she says, you're most welcome. I should reciprocate. It was really good chat. Yes, 1263A. I should reciprocate. It was really good to chat, though it was brief. Thank you so much. That goes to 1263B. It's a very cordial talk. And there's nothing of moment. And then there's nothing of moment. Page 1263C, page 1264. There's this discussion about the judgment that was handed down on rape and so on. 1265, still there's nothing of significance. And then she initiates the chat on the 16th of October. She greets me in the morning, and then I ask, Njani Squele, which is what we were discussing previously in relation to the case. And then there's nothing of significance, really. And then there's a status that I put up on 21 June 1267. She wakes up and says, Haibo. It's 0559. So that's what, in my view, demonstrates that Haibo is merely an exclamation. I don't remember what that was about, but it had to do with my status picture, Haibo. And then there is nothing of significance On 21 November, Jola, happy Sunday. My apologies first for approaching you. This is work-related. Then I say, why not? That which you want should happen. Then she says, much obliged. And then there's sharing of court roles. Thank you so much. And so on and so forth. Then on 27 January 2022, her status picture, who is this? It's me. And then I say, Suka, it's an exclamation. Then she says, Inen.
Is that now?
1273, sorry. 1273, 1905, who is this? It's me, she responds. Then I then exclaim, Suka. Then she says, Inene. When I say Suka, it sort of unbelief that was being expressed in that fashion. She says, Inene. And then I say, if munokwela kuwehlela kuvele ubuso, so that I can see you. Then she laughs at that. And then I show that I'm serious about what I'm asking, but that's how it ends. Then can I take the tribunal to... I'm looking for a status picture of mine that I had uploaded. Oh no, there it's at 1269. I almost forgot that. 1269 on 4 November 2021. I was at the gym. Then I took a picture, in fact, a video of me at the gym. She says Jola in appreciation, nothing else. 1905. And then I laugh at that. And then I say fat must fall. In other words, I was trying to say for one to keep fit, they must continue exercising. I'm just referring to that to show that there are charts that were initiated. She was just saying Jola in appreciation of a status that I had posted.
JP, am I correct that actually until that kind of discussion, which is not sensual, it's just about work, goes until 1275?
Correct, Counsel.
And I want to take you to 1276.
Yes.
You see that message?
Which one?
At 1275, all of those. The first one at 2006, you see, Magusetjenzwe.
Firstly, 1276 is a repetition. Well, it's something that was shared with the person who was translating. That's 1276.
Yes.
There was a chat involving me and the complainant, which had to do with work. I was just saying Magusetjenzwe because there was sharing of a court roll. And then she had said on her status, it looks like during this term we are going to sweat.
It's fine. And the next one, did you ever receive that message?
No.
Let's read that message.
Ugqiba kwam uchama, after I finish.
It's an answer to a message that says?
It's an answer to something that you see, it's uyanya. You are shitting. Ugqiba kwam uchama, 0906, 28 June 2022.
That's my question. Did you ever receive that message from the complainant?
Not at all. That conversation had nothing to do with me.
Did you ever write that message?
Not at all.
Did you ever what?
Write that message and send it?
Not at
Or
all.
write it at all?
Yes. I don't even know what was happening before these participants in this conversation. All I can say is, interestingly, it says 0906. I can't help but think about 0905, which was appearing on that alleged K8 thing.
Chet, I don't know if we are all on the same page. From 1276 are the messages that I sent to the interpreters for translation. So I made the screenshots. It's not screenshots from the complainant. 1276. That's the one where there's some typing on it. That is the translations.
It's K12. I'm not, I didn't say what you say I said. I'm just, it's at 1276 of volume 3.
Yes, that's pictures that I made.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm asking about the messages.
okay. So that we just know that this is nothing that the complainant gave us. I took it from certain parts of the messages to send to the interpreters for translations. Because it was too many WhatsApp messages that I could send in a document. It was too big. I could not email it, so I had to go and crop it. And also so that they know where the causa words are that we needed translations on, because the English they don't need.
But all I'm saying, I don't know, I'm not following you, is that K12 is from the complaint itself.
Is correct.
Yes.
I'm just referring to, so that, because you are referring now to 1276 and 1277, I just want that to place on record that I made those pages when I collected the evidence.
I understand what the evidence leader is trying to explain. It's something that I tried explaining initially, that it seems to me that those are charts that had to be dealt with by some interpreter. But I would say let's go to K13 at page K13 of volume 1. Volume 1. For a clearer picture of what we are about.
Thank you, JP. Go there.
Volume 1.
Volume 1, page 51. Page 51, volume 1.
Yes.
Just a minute. What's the page? Well, each one.
Yes.
Yes.
There are two ticks, 0906. Then there's U. I don't know who the U is, but I've been seeing JP, Uyanya. Then ugqiba kwam uchama 0906. Then below that there's 28 June 2022. Then there is U status. I don't know whose status was this. Umyeni womuntu utata wabantwana agqibe abe ngumphathi aphinde. That is page 51, Chairperson. I have no knowledge of that conversation. I never engaged in any form of conversation such as this one with the complainant. And then at 1833, because we see now this is 1437, this thing about umyeni womuntu 1437. So it means we've got to find this conversation and slot 1437. I have tried my best. I have not found a way of slotting it in there. Insofar as it is alleged, it's got to do with me. It's got nothing to do with me, this conversation. It's K12. If we go to the complaint itself, K12, I was extremely perturbed at page 20. That is the consolidated bundle. I was extremely perturbed. K11, K12 later. I think she says she sent a text, see annexure K13. Now, let's then look at page 19 of the consolidated bundle.
Thank you, JP.
Page 19 of the consolidated bundle. Paragraph 17. Everything that's got to do with K11, K12, K13 is said to have happened on 27 June 2021. 2021. Let me read it. On the 27th of June 2021, he sent me an image of his penis, but swiftly deleted it after I had a glimpse. 27 June. My reply was uyanya, then his reply was uqiba kwam uchama. I never said anything after. On the 28th of June, he sent me a picture of a fit lady. We now know that that fit lady was sent in a different context, wearing a t-shirt covering private parts, and in reply, I sent an image of a person hanging himself with a tissue paper. I further uploaded the leg that he sent to me on my status. Close
Chair,
quote.
you will
Close
see,
quote.
Chair, you will see that that's where the evidence leader was intervening about this conversation, about that picture. But it's paragraph 17 is a narration of that conversation from the complainant. That I'm just saying, she was saying it's something that she sent to this, but I'm saying it's actually narrated in paragraph 17, and that's what the JP is reading. Thank you, JP.
Most importantly, honorable members, I'm reading from page 19. This is said to have occurred on 27 June. There were no conversations between the parties on 27 June. There were conversations on 26 and then thereafter on 29. But let's assume in the favor of...
No. Let's assume for now. Let's go back to where we were at 1276.
Page 1276. So we now know that 1276 is not going to help us because, as the evidence leader has said, that is stuff that she sent to the interpreter to interpret. So 1276 is unavailing. I see a nod.
I thought I was going to ask you whether you did send this.
What?
Or rather, whether you received this.
Which one? 1276?
Uyanya.
Let me make it very easy, Chairperson.
JP, go to volume 3.
I'm in volume, actually the consolidated volume. That's where I am. That is where my narration of the events in question are. When I was dealing with the complaint, let's go to page 94.
Of what, JP?
Of the consolidated bundle. Sorry, 97 of the consolidated bundle. The response of the chairperson, the response that is sought by the chairperson relates to whether there was a conversation. I'm showing the conversation in its proper context. Are we at page 97, Chairperson?
Yes.
Yes. So, if you read there, in the mango, this is how I saved her. Aba, kuza uphefumleka ngopipe kule term. So I had distributed a term roll. Then she says, yo, it looks like we are going to sweat during this term. And then in response, I simply said, makusetyenzwe. This is me saying, makusetyenzwe. Can you interpret that?
Can I start from the word "caba," Chair, with your permission? Seemingly, that's how I would translate it. We will breathe through pipes this term. Then the response of the JP to that effect, makusetyenzwe. Let us work.
And then, thank you, interpreter. Then the last conversation from her is that monkey that seems to be asleep. It's a meme. So that conversation starts and ends there, nothing. There's no H1, there's no H2, it's a conversation between the complainant and I. On the 18th of September 2022, it's a work-related conversation.
JP, can I take you to where the chairperson was taking you, which is 1276, so
Yes.
that he finishes what he wanted to ask?
I'm not sure whether there's a question for me to answer.
I'm just saying the chairperson had taken you to that picture below. What he wanted to ask a question about that.
Yes.
Yeah, before you took him elsewhere. Chairperson, am I?
On 1276.
Yes, Chair. You were asking about that question. I mean, about that picture, that conversation below.
Yes.
Yes.
The one which I asked whether you did receive. I think I asked you whether you did receive this communication.
Which one?
Uyanya.
No, never. Never received something like that.
Do you know if this was ever found on your phone?
Never.
It was downloaded?
It was not found.
Both of them, including your answer?
Yes.
Including your
No,
alleged
that
answer?
conversation was not found. You'll remember from day one, this basis of my defense, even at the JCC, was that we had these flirtatious talks until February 2022. So this one of 18 September 2022 was a work-related conversation.
Yes.
But then, Chairperson, I referred to volume 1, page 51, for something that brings us closer to what was referred to. And I would like to say something about it. Chairperson, we must remember that at page 17, it is alleged that there was a conversation between the complainant and I on 27 June 2021. I've already made the point that there were no conversations between the complainant and I on the 27th. That point I thought I should make. And then I am saying, if you juxtapose what is said in paragraph 17, page 19, which seeks to narrate something that allegedly occurred on the 27th. And I would like us to read it, Chairperson. On 27 June 2021, he sent me an image of his Spanish, but swiftly deleted after I had had a glimpse. My reply was, Uyanya. Then his reply was, Ugqiba kwam uchama. So it is being alleged that there was this conversation on 27 June 2021. The first point that I wish to make is, there were no conversations between the complainant and I on 27 June 2021. This suggestion that there were those conversations, if we go to page 51 of volume 1, which is something that comes closer to what the chairperson was engaging me on. Annexure K12, volume 1. 0906 Uyanya. Then 0906 Ugqiba kwam uchama. And then 28 June 2022 immediately thereafter. So this conversation does not belong to the complainant and I. And I'm saying, assuming in her favor that it did take place, this conversation on 27 June 2021, it would have meant there was a rebuff, Uyanya, and what happens at K13? Can we go to K13 at page 52, where it says, Ndicela uyeke undinyela, tata. Please, andifane nabanye, and so on and so forth. That is K13. So it would mean that there would never have been conversations between the complainant and I beyond 27 June 2021. But here we see that this relates to something that may have been conversed by some parties around 2022.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
No,
May
Council,
I take you to...
you can take me through to something. Because the conversations have now ended
Yes.
on the strength of exhibit of volume 3.
Yes. JP, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions before we close. We're lucky that we will. I want to take you back to where you started. When these conversations, private conversations, were publicized or were to be publicized, what did you do?
The starting point is that I was gutted, as I said in my answering affidavit, that conversations of this nature between two adults, in my view, adults who were consenting to what they were talking about, had now become the subject of a status picture by or at the instance of the complainant. So my concern was this thing is disseminated and it is damaging. So the starting point was, and this is what I thought of, you know what, it is an offense for one to disseminate stuff between two people without the consent of the other person. Be that as it may, I did not follow that route because I was highly embarrassed. I did not want to be very technical about it. I sought a way of having that status picture, or those status pictures that were circulating virally, stopping. That is why I made an endeavor to speak to the complainant. I think it must have been Sunday, the 4th of December 2022.
Right. What else did you do about it, apart from attempting to speak to the complainant?
One of the things that I remember doing, because I thought the way in which these were viral would reach the Chief Justice, who is the head of the judiciary. On Tuesday, the 6th, I think, I flew to Joburg.
6th. Give us the year.
6th of December 2022.
Yes.
I spent 7 minutes with the Chief Justice at his office, Constitutional Hill. I expressed myself in relation to what was circulating, and I said to him, this is viral, it may reach him. He said, well, you know what, I'm not deep into WhatsApp stuff, I don't even know about it. And then I said, well, I thought I should make you aware that there's something of this nature, and in the event that anything of this sort becomes formalized, I will then deal with it. His response was simple. It was that, well, JP, these things do happen to people. You must be careful in the sense that you've got to pray hard. It may be that, well, put it this way, he shared a few experiences about allegations being made about people. And then he said to me, if you believe in God, this is time for you to pray hard. I spent something like 7 to 10 minutes and then I walked out. That was it between the CJ and I on the 6th. So he was merely receiving what I was telling him. He was telling me that he has received nothing, and I was simply saying to him, this thing may circulate until it reaches his desk. When I say his desk, I mean his phone, in the sense that it may circulate and he may see that a member of the judiciary is engaged in certain chats such as were circulated. And to mitigate the embarrassment, I thought I should be proactive and say to the Chief Justice, be mindful, this may happen. These things may reach your phone. But he said to me, look, I'm not deep into WhatsApp stuff. I am very illiterate when it comes to that. We parted ways. I flew back to East London on the same day.
Your testimony has also been about pictures and conversations, embarrassing pictures alleged. Have you done anything about them?
About what?
About those pictures? Have you reported any case?
Yes, I did open a case of criminal injuria against the complainant in relation to the alleged event of 15, now 14 or 15, I'm not sure, but I have opened a criminal injuria case. And also in relation to pictures that I did not send to her, I have done that.
And there's
All I can say is, in answer to your question, yes, there is a case that I have opened, but I'm not saying it is relevant to these proceedings. But what I can say is it shows my commitment to disputing what I'm said to have done.
I want to go back to what may seem like you justifying what others call unreasonable persistence. It was suggested at some point that culture is used to justify harassment. How do you see the accusation that you were persisting
That I was persisting with?
with this flirting? You were persisting for a long time. You talked about the role of persisting in courting. How did you understand your persisting?
I can only start off by explaining what was said to me and it. Partly, my persistence stemmed from that, but there is this notion of philosophical perspective that you are engaged in relation to which you are engaging me. This thing about persistence. Looked at from the Eurocentric perspective, one may then say, when you persist, you harass. I don't understand it that way. It is a perspective that does not appreciate my culture. And I'm putting aside the issue about the complainant having said, "and it."
Yes. Your answers in these proceedings indicate that, in a nutshell, you are disputing the legitimacy of this complaint. Am I correct?
To the extent that a complaint that is laced up with lies, in my view, should not have seen the doors of the JSC as a starting point. A complaint that is laced up with lies, that is founded on lies, ought not to be entertained. But I know that at that particular point in time, it must have been a challenge on the part of those who have had to decide to simply reject things that were said about me right out of hand. So the point I am simply making is that a complaint that is tainted by lies is not a valid complaint. I say so notwithstanding the fact that I am here to testify, because I didn't have to be technical about it.
For those who think that life can never be the same, for both of you, why would she do that? Why do you think she would do that?
Who? The complainant?
The complainant.
Pursue a complaint
That you call false. Why
Yes.
would she do that?
I can only speculate, and I'm not sure I'm entitled to do that. But what I can say is simply that, looking at it now in its proper context or perspective in hindsight, so there were these charts between June 2021 and February 2022, which I believe are flirtatious. The charts are wanted. There's nothing about them being unwanted. Whoever
Sorry, let me write those days again. Because 1 minute I remember them, the next one I don't.
Come again?
The days, flirtation starting when and then ending when.
For the sake of completeness, the flirtatious talks between the complainant and I commenced in around June 2021. And ended around February 2022. May I refer the tribunal to page 69 of the consolidated bundle.
Before you do that, while I have this file in front of me, which we've been going through this afternoon, page 1275.
Yes.
I'm not so sure whether earlier on, when you stopped there, you said that was the end of the exchange of WhatsApp messages.
Indeed. Indeed. Now I'm moving on to fortify my answer.
No, I'm still writing my notes.
Thank you.
Just
Sorry.
give me time.
I will. Sorry, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Page 69, the consolidated bundle. Paragraph 3 of my affidavit. Page 69. Paragraph 3, I engaged in WhatsApp exchanges with Ms. Mengo from approximately June 2021 to February 2022. Page 69. So that was my response before the JCC. My version has now found support to the extent that we've got up to page 1275, which points to 18 February 2022 as having been the last date. At that particular moment, I was simply expressing myself, telling the truth as far as I knew things. And that affidavit was deposed to and attested on 24 March 2023, long before Mr. Mola was given our telephones to check these charts. So the question that was posed by SC had to do with how do I see this? Why does the complainant subject herself to this?
Or you?
And why? Well, let me speak about me firstly. It is not of my making that I'm before this tribunal. Charts that were flirtatious, involving the complainant and I as adults, the two of us having been privy thereto, the two of us having assured one another that these charts were clandestine, have found their way to the public domain. And I'm saying, it is embarrassing to me. I regret that it happened. And I can only apologize to South African citizens insofar as they have become privy to embarrassing charts. That's all I can say in relation to my side of the story. And in saying that, I'm simply addressing myself to the embarrassment that has been caused. It's got nothing to do with saying, I am sorry that I had charts. I'm simply saying I am embarrassed that clandestine charts have become a public spectacle. They are embarrassing to me. They are embarrassing to South Africans. And I owe it to them to say, well, as things are, I'm sorry that these things have found their way to the public domain.
Thank you, JP. Chair.
And then you asked me a question in relation to the complainant, and I said, I can only speculate. This is how I look at it, and I've got to be very blunt. When at some point an observation was made that these are salacious chats between two individuals and no sexual harassment can be sustained, some people somewhere, well, including the complainant herself, thought that we should embellish this claim by saying something happened on the 15th, and then when it turns out that, we've got a problem, let's go for the 14th, this is the starting point. we look at it this way. The last chart that is flirtatious is in February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Then we are told there's sexual harassment. Because there had to be this event that occurred in Umtata, which is fallacious, which is a fabrication. This is how I look at the complaint. And I can't help but, when reflecting, I can't help but say, you know what? The complainant could never have done this all by herself. At the realm of speculating now.
Right.
But I guess you would not love me to drag this tribunal to speculative conclusions. Be that as it may, she probably knows better than I, because this is how I also look at it. So it's February 2022 when the charts that are flirtatious are stopped. We just stop it. Lost interest, speaking for myself. And that's where it ends. Flirtatious relationship, and that's where it ends. So this is how I look at it.
18 February 2022.
18 February 2022. And this is what I have to say about how I see things now in hindsight. So from March, I interact with the complainant in the sense that I'm in Makanda, I'm in other places, there's judges' farewell, there's nothing said about the complaint. Complainant says nothing to me until I am known that I will be in Umtata on 14 and 15. And this is very significant, Council, because I believe that that fabrication is meant to bolster an otherwise fragile case, a case that there never was. And I'm going to demonstrate why I say that. To the extent that, and I believe this is the position, it is demonstrably clear that this thing about 14-15 never occurred. One must ask oneself a question. If the complainant was so distressed and frustrated about the charts that commenced in June 2021 until February 22, at least as far as I'm concerned, then she would then have lodged a complaint immediately thereafter. I mean, there's a lapse of 11 months. There's a complaint that is lodged. We have heard of initial complaints. I don't want to venture into that realm. This complaint serves before the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice looks at it. From what we were told here, the view of the Chief Justice was that this is unsatisfactory. And indeed, when we look at the initial, well, call it the complaint that is serving before the tribunal, you can see that there's a lot of things that are missing. We now know in hindsight that what was said there is far less than what was the subject of interaction. But this is also what I want to say. So, from my side, I met the complainant for the last time on the 14th of June when I was commenting about the dress code. There are stories and stories around it. Also, we know in the course of time, the JCC makes a recommendation, hence we are here. For the first time, after the JCC issues its recommendation about a possible gross misconduct charge, my portrait is removed from the wall in Makanda. Chairperson, it is removed by the complainant. We now know from Mr. Kokwana, in the course of time, it was removed by the complainant. We know that having removed it, it was reinstated and there was a debate as to what should happen, and then there was a casing, those things were put there. So the complainant can't stare at this handsome face, or this once handsome face that is a portrait on the wall. She can no longer look at it. Why? Because she is depressed. Why? Because something allegedly happened on the 14th, which never happened at all. On the 15th, which never happened at all. Something is very suspicious about this. And then there's a discussion about whether the portrait should be hung up there again. And the point is made that, well, no, let's be sensitive. Mr. Kokwana has got a particular view. The AJP has got a particular view. I am not called and engaged in relation to a portrait. So the question that I'm posing is, we've been here in all for 6 months, for 6 weeks in total. We're all under one roof. The complainant is seated there. She's not fainting. She's not fainting looking at me. There's something very artificial about this complaint. She's not fainting. We've been here under one roof. And then moment could only be made about this complaint by embellishment. Firstly, about...
Sorry, but at one time she asked you to be removed from a certain position because she felt you were uncomfortably
interacting.
close to you.
I did not understand it. Well, she is much closer now, in any event. I understood, Chairperson, to the extent that you are engaging me. I understood it to be that as the proceedings were unfolding, I was whispering and, gesturing and so on. She may have been agitated by that. But I'm saying in any event, the complainant is there, about, 7 meters from me.
Chair, I'm afraid, can I respond, please? Can I interject?
Yes.
I think this is quite extraordinary for a judge president to be saying this about a complainant in a sexual harassment case against him. If we are talking about, if we're counting the number of times that the complainant has had to show emotion, I will make mention of the fact that you will have noticed that she left the hearing today. That was because she was emotional about what she was hearing. I've asked her to come and sit here because I thought that was a requirement of this tribunal. You'll see that we've placed her in between our attorneys, not on the end. I shouldn't have to say any of this. The judge president is welcome to give his evidence, but to attack the complainant in this manner, on this reason, on this ground, is just completely unfounded, Chair. To say that she's sitting here and not fainting is quite an extraordinary statement to make.
Chairperson.
Can I intervene? May I request that we take a nicotine or caffeine break? You will be pleasantly surprised that after that, my questions may be fewer or none.
Yeah. Chairperson, through you, Counsel, I take umbrage to what is being said by Advocate Bartlender. The context of what I was saying was, this is a complaint that is laced up with lies. That is the context that I was addressing the tribunal on. In the main, I'm simply saying, why do you have a situation where a portrait is removed as soon as the JCC makes a recommendation, some months after we had been interacting? That's the point I was simply making. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Yes. We will come back at 20 to 4.
Thank you, Chair.
Please have that set of WhatsApp messages which were said not to have been attached initially. I specifically asked for them, a catalog of them, if need be. Where are they?
Chair, can I assure you that they are here and I will get them to you? And then if there is any issue about them, we can, but they are, my attorney will get them.
Yes, there can't be an issue about them because we dealt with them.
We dealt with them, and if I gave the impression that I was arguing about them, no, they were just not there, and I think the attorney will compile them, and we can deal with them at a later stage if there's an issue about them, but there isn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether there's a need to deal with them. You know what I'm asking for them because when the time comes for us to write the ruling, we should be in a position to say, these are these, those are those. Yeah. That's Chair, all we want.
Chair, it's my fault. The attorney did indicate to me that they had been compiled, and I will make sure that you get them, but also that our learned friends see them.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. JP, you are still under oath. Mr. Skakani.
Thank you for the reminder, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. We have no further questions for the JP.
With your permission, Chair, if I may just mention something.
Yeah.
Before we were about to adjourn for lunch, there was a discussion pertaining to a particular word that I said it does not mean no in translation because it was halfly written, which was the H-A-Y. And I remember this pertinently because I asked my lady to just spell it out for me before I could translate it, and as a result I explained it further to say the interpretation of that particular word would be an exclamation, not the N-O. I just wanted to clear that for the completeness sake, and even in the bundle that I received, I had a look at it on page 1311 of the translation to Hai Uyakwazi. It's still there. It's the H-A-Y, which does not mean no, because even in the translation, the no is not reflected. And then again on page 1312, it's reflected again, the same H-A-Y under 1946 time, and I see there it's not translated either. That's just what I wanted to bring to the attention since I was given the homework to clarify this H-A-Y.
I don't see it on 1312. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yes, Chair. The 1312, it's the translated version. It's not, with this bundle in front of me, it's not translated.
Yes.
It's left as is. And on 1311, there's only a wow that's written there. Then it's followed by the line that says, you can retaliate indeed.
1311.
1311. Time, it's 1935, where it starts with a chu. Then it says, Hai Uyakwazi. The translation of that, it's, wow, you can retaliate indeed, as per this bundle.
I don't see it. I see T-J-U-U-U-U.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, okay.
after
And
that,
then they have-
Chair, there's a H-A-Y.
I see that.
Then with the full word Uyakwazi and the monkey and the laughing emoji. I was just, I pertinently wanted to address the issue of the H-A-Y, that in the isiXhosa language, you don't find that.
Oh.
In order for it to be complete, to mean no in English, it has to be H-A-Y-I at the end. Then it will mean no. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Duly noted.
Chair, sorry, I'm not, I realized that I condemned myself unfairly. The bundle, the respondent supplementary bundle, has this at pages 1539
1539.
to 1593. But I will,
1539 to
1593. They're already there.
respondents supplementary.
It's volume 4.
Is
It's
that
called Schedule of WhatsApp Message. That's the title.
respondents volume 4?
Yes. The title you will see there, it's called Schedule of WhatsApp Messages omitted from the complaint but downloaded by Muller.
All right.
Thank you, Chair.
I have been looking for
What I'll
that.
do, Chair, is that when we get after this, we will share it with my learned
I'm
friends.
sure I have them somewhere.
Yes, somewhere, because it's just a question of
Yeah, I have them.
finding. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Sikakani, please.
Chair, as I indicated, we have no further questions for the witness.
Yes, I just wanted to formally note that.
Yes.
Advocate Skippers.
Thank you, Chair. JP, on the attacks yesterday on me as the evidence leader, you spent a lot of time attacking me and the process followed in your evidence. In fact, people may have been confused as to whether you were making argument or giving evidence, but in any event, I will argue in due course that I have done everything required by me, by the JSC Act and the rules, and in particular that your understanding of the role of the respondents' legal representatives and the role of the evidence leader is incorrect as a matter of law. But let's stick to asking you to give evidence rather than making legal arguments. You hold the position of Judge President in the Division of the Eastern Cape, is that correct?
Correct.
And as the Judge President, you are the administrative head of the division and are expected to lead by example. Is that correct?
Live by example.
Lead.
Lead by example.
Yes.
Yes.
Would you agree that part of your duty as a leader is to foster a safe, respectful and professional environment for all court personnel?
Correct.
As Judge President, if any judge in your division had engaged in conduct alleged to be sexually inappropriate with a junior staff member, you would treat such a matter with the utmost seriousness, is that correct?
If any member of the judiciary were to be alleged to have done what?
Alleged to be sexually inappropriate with a junior staff member.
Sexually inappropriate.
Yes.
It is incumbent on members of the judiciary in terms of the Judicial Code of Conduct to deal with unbecoming conduct on the part of colleagues and possibly to take it up.
So would you have dealt with it?
I would. Any inappropriate conduct by a judge.
And as Judge President, you are expected to provide effective leadership to the division, is that correct?
Absolutely correct.
You also agree that your conduct inside and outside the courtroom must reflect the highest ethical and professional standards?
My conduct.
Yes, your conduct inside and outside the courtroom.
Yes.
You also agree that you are bound by the Code of Judicial Conduct and must uphold it in your official and personal conduct?
Correct.
Then you are also aware that Article 5 of the Code requires judges to act honourably and in a manner befitting judicial office at all times?
I'm aware of that, and I'm aware of that clause that you are reading. I'm also aware of the fact that at the commencement of these proceedings you referred to it, and I'm also aware of the fact that that which you are reading, which is 5.1, has got nothing to do with these proceedings as far as I'm concerned.
Article 7 demands that a judge must dissociate from sexist conduct and must respect the dignity of others, correct?
Yes.
Now, let's look at your status as Judge President of the Eastern Cape Division.
Sure.
Would you agree that the Judge President has significant authority over both judicial officers and support staff in his division?
Correct. You say I've got judicial authority.
No, significant authority. Significant authority.
Significant authority.
Yes.
Can you unpack that, please, for me? Because
You have authority over people.
I've got authority over people.
Yes. Because of your status as Judge President.
I think we need to unpack it a bit. I am not going to shy away from the fact that I am the top judge in the Eastern Cape Division. And we need to contextualize the question.
All right.
I am not a supervisor of administrative staff.
No, I didn't say you are a supervisor, but you are in charge of the entire division. Is that
True,
correct?
yes.
And you present the division at the heads of court.
Correct.
And you are accountable to the Chief Justice for the division.
True.
So you have the authority.
I'm accountable to the division. I'm accountable to South Africa.
All right.
I'm
So-
accountable to litigants.
Would you also agree that the public expects you to uphold the dignity of the judiciary at all times?
Correct.
And would you agree with me that the way in which a judge-president conducts himself and the way he is perceived by the profession and by the public has a direct impact on the way that the judiciary is regarded?
You mean what they see?
Yes.
Absolutely correct.
Ms. Menga was never appointed as your secretary, is that correct?
Yes, that is the position.
In fact, she testified that she was never a secretary to any judge-president at all. She may have provided assistance from time to time.
So be it.
You cannot dispute that.
No.
In fact, Ms. Menga also testified that under the leadership of your predecessor, the late Judge-President Sangoni, she only engaged with him in person when required to perform duties. There were no other after-hour phone calls or WhatsApp messages exchanged.
I hear that.
You cannot dispute that.
No.
Then on yesterday, when you started your evidence in chief, you told this panel that you had an interest in Ms. Mengo.
Yes.
When did this interest start?
After speaking to her on the day I had visited Judge Robertson's chambers, after I had spoken to her, and when we had a chat in the evening.
So did the interest already start in her office?
When I was interacting with her, and then we spoke much later on that day.
But I want to unpack this. When did your interest start with her? Was it in the office or only during the WhatsApp chats?
It started to begin with when we were talking, and then specifically later that night.
What sparked your interest?
What sparked my interest?
Yes.
I was just attracted to her mannerism and how she spoke and how she held herself.
Was this the first time that you interacted with her?
Directly, besides meeting her in the passageways and greeting her, and also sometimes talking in passing or talking with secretaries when I greet them in their offices. That is when I'm seeing their judges, rather.
So why did you not have interest in her previously when you interacted with her? Why specifically this day?
I don't follow the question. The matter of how a spark starts when you are attracted to somebody is not mechanical, it's natural.
So it just happened?
Yeah.
Okay. You then clarified and said that this was more of a flirtatious relationship and not a romantic relationship. Is that correct?
In totality, that's what it ends up being. And it's got its ebbs and flows in terms of how deep we sometimes engaged in. But in total, it is a flirtatious relationship.
In total. Yes. So what did you then exactly want from the complainant?
What did I want?
Yes.
I wanted to explore the possibility of a romantic relationship, which started off by way of flirtation.
All right. And you have had many flirtatious relationships before. This is not your first flirtatious relationship, is that correct?
I won't answer that question. It's not relevant.
All right. So when you initiate a flirtatious relationship with any person, do you generally ask for naked pictures of that person in your first conversation you have with that person?
Firstly, your question is predicated on an allegation that when you do this with other people, I would restrain you from doing that. I would appeal to you that we deal with the facts of this matter. And therefore, could you please rephrase your question?
Why did you ask for naked pictures on the first
I did
time?
not ask for naked pictures.
You did.
I did not. Put it this way, at no stage did I ever ask for naked pictures.
We will unpack that from tomorrow.
Thank you.
You've told us that you are a formal person,
What?
a formal person, and that you value tradition.
I value what?
Tradition and culture.
Yes, sure.
And you've explained to us how courting happens in the Xhosa culture.
Yes, as far as I know it.
And you've told this panel that what we've seen in these WhatsApp messages are reflective of courting in your culture.
I think the statement that you are putting to me is too broad.
That is what you testified.
No, I'm just saying the statement that you are putting is broader than what I said. I am not going to shy away from the statement or your postulation. And can you please repeat it so that I can deal with it pertinently?
You say that courting that happens in the Xhosa culture is
Yes.
what we see in these WhatsApp messages.
I'm basically saying flirtation is flirtation. And flirtation is what it is what it means. And therefore I'm saying it is not incompatible with the Xhosa culture.
No, that's not what you
No,
testified
I'm saying it is
yesterday.
not incompatible with the Xhosa culture. In other words, this notion about me saying we are here dealing with Xhosa custom, we should disabuse our minds of that. I'm simply saying Xhosa custom does know or is a culture of negotiation, if I may unpack it. So flirtation and persistence should be understood within the context of negotiation. So in the Xhosa culture, negotiation is at the center of it. So I'm simply saying flirtation is not inconsistent with the Xhosa culture. And I had to infuse Xhosa culture in areas where I thought it was important for me to mention. So the notion that Mbenenge's defense is that what was happening, it was the implementation of Xhosa custom, is a wrong premise. In the Xhosa custom, there's negotiation. This thing about somebody having to earn it is known by that custom, and persistence should be understood in the context of negotiation. The custom and tradition of Xhosas has at its center negotiation.
But according to me, negotiation comes from both sides. A negotiation cannot come only from one side. You also understand it like that.
I do understand from that. I do understand your statement, the way in which you are putting it.
Was there negotiations from both sides here?
Absolutely, yes.
So in these WhatsApps, you say that you were trying to court Ms. Mengo.
Eventually. If that would eventually, if the flirtatious charts would then end up eventuating in that direction, yes.
Did you ask her out for dinner?
No,
Did you buy her gifts?
no.
Instead, what we see in the WhatsApps are that within 30 minutes of you starting the conversation on that first day,
Yes.
8 June 2021, at 19:27, you asked us to send photographs.
Yes. But there's a context. But
What is
yes.
the context?
No, the context is, please look at me, consider me, and tell yourself what it is that exactly you want of me or from me. So that's how the thing starts.
I don't follow your answer.
Can I please refer you to what I'm talking about?
Yes, please.
Let's go to volume 3.
Yes.
If you can be patient with me, please.
I will.
So let's go to page 1161. Evidence leader. Sorry, ma'am. Could we go to page 1161? 1913. I maintain myself well. Exercise keeps me younger. Keep it that way. Then she winks. And then Nzaukendi Jonge. And then page 1162, further down, I say, how would you prove? And that related to age. Then the answer, 1162 at 1921, nguwe ofuna ukuyijonga, my part would be giving you a task. You are the one who wants to show, you are the one who wants to consider my age. My part would be to giving you a task. I can defer to superior wisdom.
Nguwe ofuna ukuyijonga.
Nguwe ofuna ukuyijonga.
You are the one who is requesting to have a look at it.
My part would be giving you a task. Then that's English. And then at page 1163, at 1924, I want to give you a chance for you, uba uyijonge.
1163, the last part, for you, ukuba uyijonge. When we complete the sentence, I want to give you a chance for you to have a look at it.
Yes. And then below that, immediately at 1924, within a minute, then you determine what you are looking for. What you are looking for in me. That is my answer, Counsel.
But you did ask for a picture.
And then further down, I then say, maybe a few pictures you send may serve as halfway proof. So in that context, I did ask for pictures at 1164, 1927. And then at 1165, at 2023, I say, if it won't offend, and then that attracts a wink from the complainant.
I put it to you that this is not a respectful way to engage with a person that you are courting on the first day that you are talking on WhatsApp.
Is that so?
I put it to you.
I don't agree with that postulation. Because the reason why I don't agree with it is that it is subjective. You probably are saying, and sorry, it may sound personal, what you would like to see happening in your case when somebody is approaching or advancing at you. So that's why I disagree with you. The matter of how one approaches one is it's too mechanical to say you start off by going out for dinner and so on.
But
yes, in the Western context, maybe.
You didn't ask Ms. Menga what her preference was,
What
how
her
she would like to be courted.
No, I did not have to.
Why not?
You don't ask somebody how they want to be courted. You just negotiate. The matter of how a man proposes a woman has no stipulated approach.
But
You
there
do
are-
anything that wants you to engage somebody to see her interest in you, possibly, and to indicate your interest in them.
That is a very profound statement you might make. You do anything.
No, I'm just saying, when I say you do anything, I will appeal to you not to blow it out of proportion. I am saying, when you propose, there is no book that you go to that tells you that, you know what, in biology you do A, B, C, D, E. It is a matter of the heart and the brain and how you express yourself. For instance, when I say, if it won't offend, I was quite mindful of the fact that I don't want to engage somebody in a chat only to find that they will be offended.
She is a secretary in your division.
Correct?
Surely you must exercise caution.
True. Hence I say, if it won't offend, among others, that's not the only time when I had to check whether she is with me in what we were conversing about.
I will unpack the WhatsApps later on. I will come to that.
Thank you.
So can we take it that you assumed that there was consent?
At which point?
You can tell us. At which
Please.
point do you say that there was consent?
When I answer the question from the perspective that if you look at the entire interaction, I would say there was consent. And I'm answering in that fashion because when I called upon you to unpack your question, you chose to pose it the way you did. So I'm basically saying there was consent at all material points in time. And in its conspectus, in the final analysis, when you look at everything that happened, you are bound to conclude, as she did when she was cross-examined, which is that any reasonable person would believe that you were playing along. And the answer was ewe, E-W-E, which means yes.
I put it to you, you assumed consent from the start. You did not have all the WhatsApp conversations already that first day. So you could not look at all the evidence.
No. Counsel, what I'm doing is, in answer to your question, I wanted to know from you, are you talking about consent on a particular day or consent, and you said generally. And I'm saying, if you look at the charts as we see now, with the benefit of what we have in front of us, I am saying the charts were wanted. They were not unwanted. And also I'm saying, specifically in relation to the very first day when we interacted, based on what I see here, based on my answering affidavit before the JCC, my answer is, I don't agree with you in your proposition. For instance, I say if it won't offend, and there are so many other times when I interact with her and check whether, they say in English, to test the room, just to see whether we are still on par with one another. And that is why she eventually shared her picture on that day, on that night.
But if we now look at all the evidence we have, there's a sexual harassment complaint. So surely there was no consent.
No, that's a presumption. It is not correct. And also, I will urge you, when you put such propositions to say, based on this version and that version and whichever else version, and then you can put your proposition. But I disagree with you. The notion that you are coming up with is the notion that you are presumed guilty until you prove yourself innocent. The fact that somebody does lay a complaint, regardless of whether the complaint is legitimate, is valid, is truthful, is based on the truth, is paramount. So I am not going to accept a proposition which I believe is not correct, that kungamangalwa ithetha into okokuba lo mntu umangalelwayo uyenzile loo nto.
The translation of what the JP just uttered now, once there's a complaint or a complaint is laid, that means then that the accused
Is presumed guilty until proven innocent.
Okay, the JP finished it in English as I was about to.
So I'm not agreeing with your proposition, which is that by virtue thereof that a complaint has been lodged, it means there was no consent. That is a matter to be determined by the tribunal. One of the issues is whether the charts were wanted or unwanted, and that is why we are here. And I submit, my answer is that the charts were not unwanted.
You know what the definition of courting is?
As I understand, courting is a relationship where people consider the possibility of being partners in due course, even on a permanent basis. That's in broad terms what courting is about.
Yes, that is indeed correct. To have a romantic relationship with someone in the hope of marrying someone or
True.
have a close relationship
Yes.
with that person.
Correct.
In fact, unfortunately, in this instance, you are already a married man
What has that to do with these proceedings, ma'am?
who did not want a serious relationship with Ms. Mengo. You wanted a sexual relationship with her.
Evidence leader, I urge you and I appeal to you that you don't pose questions to me that are not relevant to the issue at hand.
I will pose to you that you don't have to lecture me.
I am not lecturing you. Sorry for
I'm
that.
putting the questions to you.
Come again?
I'm putting the versions and the questions to you. You can answer yes or no, or just give an answer.
Not all questions call for yes or no. I think we should be on par on that. You are asking me about my marital status, and I'm urging you to keep away from that.
That was not the only part of the question.
Can you
wanted
please-
a sexual relationship with Ms. Mengo.
Come
you
again?
didn't want a romantic relationship with her because you're already married. You wanted a sexual relationship with her.
No. Please don't overload your question with 3 questions. Let's start from the beginning. The first component of your question presupposes that it's based on the fact that I am a married person. And in fact, what you are engaging me on is whether you are married or not. Is that not the position? And if that is the position, evidence leader, I am saying it is not relevant for purposes of what we are about here.
It is relevant because you're already in a relationship, but now you're seeking another relationship with a complainant which she says is unwanted.
No. You are predicating your proposition on the fact that by virtue of the fact that somebody is married, they are precluded from doing something. And I'm saying, let's not talk about my marital status. Let's concern ourselves with my interaction with Ms. Mengo. Because now you are seeking to make a moral issue, and you are not going to come up with a moral code that I will have to deal with, or even a universal moral code. So what I'm urging you, evidence leader, is not to pose a question about my marital status. Your question is predicated on this. JP, are you married? And my immediate answer is, that is irrelevant.
You wanted a sexual relationship with Ms. Mengo?
I wanted a flirtatious relationship with a view to eventually having a romantic relationship with her if that worked out.
You will agree with me that sexual interaction in any workplace is heavily regulated through labor processes.
Can you unpack that, please?
There are labor processes in place, there are internal workplace processes in place, and the code of sexual harassment is in place. So sexual relationships in the workplace is frowned upon.
What has a judge to do with a workplace? If you can help me, I'll tell you why I'm asking you this question. You are talking about labor laws that apply to employers and employees. Judges are public office bearers. They are not members of the executive arm. They are part of the judiciary. That's what they are. And the reason why I'm stating that is that you are moving from the premise that there's a code that I should have given heed to. And I will welcome it if you pinpoint a particular provision that you say this and that you did not observe.
The code
Then
of
we can deal with that.
Judicial conduct.
Come again?
The code of judicial conduct.
Insofar as it says what?
Excuse me, do you say
No,
that
I'm
judges
asking.
can commit sexual harassment and nothing can happen to them?
Your
that what you
statement
are
is
now saying?
pregnant with meaning.
She's not saying, she's not admitting to sexual harassment.
Yes.
I'm not saying he's admitting to sexual harassment.
But why do you say, are you saying that judges can commit sexual harassment?
Because
That is
that
in
was my
dispute.
question.
Reframe your question properly. Don't start from the assumption that there is already established sexual harassment
I've
before
never
us.
said there was any establishment of sexual harassment, Chair.
Well, then you have to rephrase your
I
question.
will rephrase it. Do you say that there's nothing regulating your conduct as a judicial officer?
There is.
And does that not also have an effect on sexual relationships at your office, at your workplace?
We don't have a sexual harassment policy particularly. That is the starting point. We don't have that. And I don't understand you to be saying there is a particular code. I've not been told up to this point, certainly not in terms of how I've been charged, that there was a breach of a particular provision. I keep on hearing that from you every time you talk, you say something that I've never been informed of, a case that I've never been called upon to meet. So could you please rephrase your question so that I understand exactly what it is?
You agree with me that sexual interactions in the workplace are frowned upon?
Can you read me that particular provision?
It's not a provision. It's frowned upon.
No, I'm saying, can you read that particular provision that you are referring to?
I'm not referring to
You are
any
not referring to
provision.
anything.
No.
You are simply suggesting that it is frowned upon.
Yes.
I would say what is frowned upon is the type of interaction or sexual, shall I say, a flirtatious conduct that is unwanted. Yes, it is frowned. It should be frowned upon.
Thank you.
So the point I'm making is any unbecoming conduct, it will be unbecoming conduct for anyone, a judge for that matter, or anyone else to harass another person, and vice versa, a female to harass a male. You see, the reason why I addressed you initially in the fashion I did, you said something about workplace and then the Labor Relations Act and all that, but I had to explain to you that I'm neither an employee nor an employer.
We agree with that.
Thank you.
Do you still maintain that this flirty interactions between you and the complainant, as you put it, was appropriate to occur in the workplace between the most senior person in that division and one of the most junior staff members?
Evidence leader, you have asked a question that has got various components. Let me find a way of answering this. Any judge, any person, anywhere for that matter, is behaving appropriately if they harass others. Then I'm talking about inappropriate conduct. But when people flirt with one another and the flirtation is not unwanted, I do not believe that there is anything that one may say is it should be frowned upon, because I'm going to ask you in terms of what?
You said now that you are neither an employer or an employee. So I want to put it to you that it is not about whether or not you are an employer, a manager, a supervisor, or anything. You are the judge president of that division.
Very true.
And she's a secretary
Yes.
that works in courts.
Yes.
You are the most powerful person in that court.
What do you mean by powerful?
Don't you see yourself as the person with the most authority in that division?
Let me remind you, if we talk about the issue of power, it shifts, especially in the context of what we are talking about. So, at an abstract level, let's start with what the first proposition you made, and I want to rectify something. Insofar as you sought to refer to the Labor Relations Act, it is to that extent that I said to you I am not an employee because the Labor Relations Act applies to employers and employees. So it is within that context that I answered the way I did. And then the second proposition about power and authority, yes and no. I'll tell you why I say yes and no. In this flirtatious relationship, I never invoked what you perceive as power on the facts of this interaction.
I'm not talking about the WhatsApp relationships. I'm talking about at the workplace, you are the most powerful person in that division. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. In your evidence, you also said that many judges have had relationship with their secretaries. In fact, some of them have married their secretaries.
Could you please put it the way I did? All I was saying, I was simply saying there are judges that have married their secretaries. They would have started somewhere, either flirtation or whatever else, and then it would have gravitated to them becoming a couple, married in the true sense. Please, if possible, save me from mentioning names.
I don't want you to mention names.
Thank you.
You testified about that.
Yes.
So we need to unpack this. We don't know what the circumstances was that surrounded
No, we
their,
don't. Yes.
relationships. This case is different than those.
How so? So you know there are. Is it the position that you know there are? Because I need to move from the premise that we are on par on that subject.
Are you now asking the questions to me?
Not necessarily asking questions, I am seeking clarity. Are we moving from the premise that you accept that it has previously happened?
This tribunal does not have any evidence before it about the circumstances of those relationships. Is that correct?
Evidence, leader. It was merely a postulation in passing for me to mention that this thing that is looked upon as very taboo, for that matter, this is pure flirtation. You must remember that there are judges that have married their secretaries. That's all I was saying.
But
without suggesting that I know how they eventually got to be married. I have no idea.
I want to put it to you that this case is different because in this case, the complainant do not agree that there was consent. It was not a consensual relationship.
You keep on coming with a presumption, evidence leader, and I don't believe that is correct of you to do so. This notion that once sexual harassment is mentioned, then surely one must have committed it. This is an allegation. I am here to refute or rebut that allegation. So the fact that the complainant says, well, I want to lodge a complaint because as far as I'm concerned, the chats were unwanted. That is a matter for determination by the tribunal. That is why we are here. That is why the charge sheet has been couched the way it is.
Chair, if this is a convenient time, I see it's now only 5 o'clock, but I'm going to go into the specific WhatsApps, and it has been a long day. I don't know if you will give me the leniency to adjourn until tomorrow. We can start at 9, as suggested in chambers earlier this morning, or earlier today. I foresee that we will be able to finish in the 2 days that we have left.
Excuse me. Let me make this point. We had indicated that we would sit until 6 o'clock because we need to finish the evidence in this case. And I insisted that we are going to proceed. The cross-examination must start today, and if need be, we're going to sit until 6 o'clock because we need to finish this case. I think the public and the nation are becoming weary of this case. Resources are being plowed into this case, and we don't want this case to be another Senzomiwa case or to be the Omotoso case, cases which won't run forever. It will not happen in these proceedings. If need be, we'll sit until 10 o'clock every single day in the evening. I'm reluctantly, very reluctantly, acceding to a request for us to stop now at 5:15 when we had said that we'll sit until 6 o'clock. I'm doing that very reluctantly. But let me be very clear. This is not going to be a never-ending process. If need be, from tomorrow we'll sit until 10 o'clock. We adjourn until tomorrow 9 o'clock.